How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Real shame. What a shame that is, because Australia-South Africa is one of the highlighted fixtures in the ICC Men's Champions Trophy, and we'd told you the reasons why this rivalry had built up over a period of time with the quality and standard of cricket. Both teams play, both teams get out of each other. Unfortunately, the weather in Rawalpindi has played spoil sport, and the points are split between both Temba Bavuma and Steve Smith sides. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket from Ashton. We'll hear from Ashton, Agar and Firdaus Munda in just a moment. Before that, Wasim, Jaffer with me. It's sad because there are some inconsequential games, Wasim, like Pakistan, Bangladesh, with regards to the semi-final hopes. This was a game with a lot riding on it. Do you sense one team is happier than the other, though, after this result?
Well, it keeps them in the group and keeps them till the end. Afghanistan games again become so important. But I think this was, like I said before, after India-Pakistan, this is probably one of the strongest games, and you would have wanted to see that rivalry carry on. But very unfortunate, you can't beat the weather. We'll live to see how it happens over a period of few days.
Yeah, that makes the rest of this group very interesting, and we'll have that conversation in a moment. But when you have games like this, which both teams would be up for, Ashton, and the result goes this way, does it feel like, that's not a bad result? South Africa's a good team. You could have ended this with, could easily have beaten you today. Do you look at this as a point gain or a point lost usually in these situations?
I mean, you probably look at it as a point lost, but it's not all doom and gloom. It does keep you in the hunt. We know that now if we win the next game, everything looks pretty good, and we see a knockout between South Africa and England potentially. But it's a real shame. The boys would have been up for this one, like we said before, and it's such a shame that Dale's beautiful soliloquy at the start has gone to waste. He made it sound like it was going to be the most beautiful contest of all time. So it's a shame for the players and for the fans, but not the worst thing for Australia.
I love that, Dale's soliloquy. That's very poetic. You're a man of fine taste, Ashton Agar. I want to talk to you more about it on another day. Firdaus, in some ways, does this result do South Africa more of a disservice? Depending on how other results go, it almost takes net run rate out of the equation, something they had a head start on with the big win against Afghanistan.
Yeah, exactly. So now that's pretty much nullified, assuming that everybody else in the group beats Afghanistan. But I think there's something else South Africa will be missing from this, and that is that it was only the second chance they would have had to play with a full-strength side over really since the end of the last World Cup. So they've been playing bilateral ODI cricket, and they've been kind of developing players, blooding players. They capped 10 new players between November of 2023 and where we are now. And then they've just had that one game against Afghanistan, which you'd say was a pretty easy win. So now they go into what is potentially a knockout clash against England, and then maybe onto the semi-finals, and they've only really had one game under their belt. So I think they'll really miss having had the opportunity for some game time.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long time before that. What would have been their opening game to what could be virtual knockout, as Firdaus points out. What this does, though, if you look at how this group plays out, this is a great result for Afghanistan and England. Afghanistan can just brush aside the big loss against South Africa. They know if they beat Australia and England, they get 4 points. That'll be enough, because Australia then can only stay at 3. England as well can't go over them. And the other one is, of course, England themselves, who backed themselves to get the points against Afghanistan. And then, as we've pointed out, if they beat South Africa, it's heartbreak for South Africa. So Afghanistan and England, suddenly this adds to their chances.
Yeah, that's what happens with the rain abandoned games. It keeps the other team alive. The pool stays open. So it's going to be interesting. When Afghanistan plays the other teams, it will be interesting to see what happens from here on.
Okay, so now before we wrap it up, given this has happened, makes the prediction for this group much harder. But I will ask this panel to predict. As things stand now, which two teams from this group will qualify for the semi-finals? Wasim?
I'm going to say I had picked Afghanistan and South Africa.
Pre-tournament, yes.
Yeah, but I'm going to say Australia and South Africa.
Australia and South Africa. So you're backing Australia to beat Afghanistan.
Yeah.
You're also backing South Africa to beat England.
Yeah.
Ashton?
I'm going to say Australia and England. It's probably an unpopular one on this current broadcast right now, but I just think they're the two strongest sides in the group, and particularly on these wickets, I think their game style sort of works really well.
Yeah, why would you say it's unpopular? I'm with you. It only Firdaus isn't.
No, come on. Exactly right. I mean, you got to be diplomatic to a point, don't you?
Firdaus, change it up.
You know, you didn't ask me because I wasn't on the show before the tournament who I thought was going to win, but I had actually backed Afghanistan to win this event. So if I have to stick with that, then I'd go with Afghanistan and England to progress. But I think that's a nonsense prediction. Yeah. Honestly, I actually agree with Ashton. I think it's going to be Australia and England.
Oh, you think England will beat South Africa in that game?
Yeah, I do. I just don't think South Africa have had enough time to actually get used to playing. And also they don't know what they're going to do when Heinrich Klaassen is fit again. They have to think of which top order batter to leave out. And I'm not quite sure they know between Ryan Rickleton, they obviously can't leave Temba Bavuma out, Tony de Zorzi and Rassie van der Dussen, who has to make way for Heinrich Klaassen. And I just think England in knockout games, I'm thinking of the 2009 Champions Trophy where they knocked South Africa out in dramatic circumstances in Centurion. And yeah, it's probably not the right thing for a South African to say, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Firdaus, I must applaud you for your distinguished career as a journalist, where you go back to the 2009 Champions Trophy and we all remember it like it was yesterday, don't we, Wasim? Anyway, no one needs to respond to that. It's a tournament that does test the cricket recall value of even the truest fans. Why Afghanistan perhaps are slightly not as in a good position as we thought, Wasim, when you made that pre-tournament prediction, is now that we've seen Lahore, it looks like a real flat track, and they play England there tomorrow, and they play Australia there in a few days' time. Does that reduce their chances that they're going to be playing on the flatter surface, arguably, in the tournament?
Yeah, definitely. That's probably one of the reasons. And they don't have the strongest pace bowling attack as well. It a lot depends on Fazal Faruqi.
Yes.
If he doesn't strike with the new ball, the spin bowling department, if Rashid doesn't pick wickets, we've seen that in the first game. Noor Ahmed wasn't in his best form. I mean, it could change 100%, but the pitch, I think, won't favor spin as much. Plus, the batting depends so much on their top order. So all these factors make them a little, slightly compared to the other teams.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. I must say, though, Firdaus, it just struck me now with such passion in the pre-show. You spoke of South Africa going all the way and the finals they're making, and a couple of minutes back, you've just put England into the semi-final.
Yeah, time makes your brain work in interesting ways. By the way, I said South Africa reach finals. I didn't say that they win finals.
You're not even saying they're going to the semi-finals. Yeah, you're not even saying they're going to go to the semis. Anyway, it's all fun.
It's summer in the Cape.
Yeah.
I want a week off.
Oh my. All right. This is where we give you the day off. Firdaus, thank you very much. Ashton, Agar, always a pleasure. Let's talk ahead of Australia, Afghanistan, and Wasim Jaffer. Brilliant to have your company and thoughts as well. Unfortunately, we've got nothing more, as much as we would have loved to bring you more cricket talk on what should have been a great game in the race for the semi-finals. Let's hope it picks up tomorrow when Afghanistan play England. That's at Lahore. Better weather, better surface, and build up to it will be on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents ESPN Cricket for Match Day just before the toss. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.